Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kendra. If you are new here and you like true crime, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so today I am actually at a motorcycle club Bible study building. So the walls are kind of janky. This is not my house, don't judge. My husband is at home watching the kids, so this is my only time to get some me time. Today I want to hop on and talk about the Gabrielle Petito case. It is all that everyone's talking about right now. It is almost at 43 million users using the hashtag Gabby Petito on TikTok. So it's absolutely viral, which is amazing because everyone needs to know about this case in case she is still alive and someone comes across her. Now, this has just broke the internet 3 days ago, so I am going to be reading everything that I have kind of looked at and researched and put together for you guys. The most frustrating thing is that people will create a website or a blog or something, and they will just post information that they see, the first thing that they see. They'll post it and boom, that's what it is. When unfortunately sometimes that is not the case. When you find something, how I research my videos is when I read something like, oh, for instance, the person was 23 years old. I'm going to look at 3 to 5 different sources to verify that that person is indeed 23 years old. You don't want to just post something that you read for the first time, because a lot of people put out misinformation and it doesn't help the investigation. I in no way want to spread any type of misinformation regarding Gabby's case. Gabrielle Elizabeth Petito is 22 years old and goes by the nickname Gabby. Her birthday has not been released to the public, but I do know that she was born in 1999. To her mother, Nicole Schmidt, and father, Joseph Petito, in Long Island, New York. Gabby is a college student. She refers to herself as a nutritionist. She is a very vibrant person. She has a love for life and adventure. She is a daughter. She is the oldest of her siblings, and she's also a granddaughter. July 3rd, 2020, Gabby became engaged to her 23-year-old boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. I do believe that they have been together since March 17, 2019, because her Instagram has a photo of her and Brian, and it says happy 1-year anniversary, and that was posted on March 17, 2020. Gabby owned a white 2012 Ford Transit van, which her and Brian turned into a camper. They always wanted to set out for an adventure to explore state national parks throughout the west coast of the United States. They were very inspired by other YouTubers who converted their van into camper vans, even those, buses that they make into, campers as well. They were very inspired by other YouTubers who documented their journeys, especially couples. So they thought it would be awesome to document their entire journey. So they created their own YouTube under the name Nomadic Static. I think that's how you say it. In late June 2021, they did just that. They planned to travel to specific national parks while staying in their camper van, sometimes even staying in a tent outside of their van, depending on how the weather was. They left their home in Northport, Florida, located in between Tampa and Fort Myers, where they stayed with Brian's parents for the last 2 years. So Brian and Gabby did live together at Brian's parents' house for the last 2 years. Their first stop would be at Gabby's mother and stepfather's home in Blue Point, New York, in Long Island's South Shore for her brother's graduation ceremony. Just like one of my past videos that I did, I'm going to be throwing a ton of different dates at you guys, so I will have the full timeline in my description below if you're a little confused. Starting July 2nd, the couple officially started their trip alone, stopping in Kansas Monument Rocks in Scott City, Kansas on July 5th. July 8th, they arrive in Colorado Springs. July 10th, Gabby posts photos of her walking in the Grand Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. July 16th, they arrive in Zion National Park in Utah. July 20th, she posts photos on Instagram visiting Cedar Breaks National Monument. The following day, on July 21st, she updates her followers, stating her next stop is Bryce Canyon National Park, still in Utah. Now, this isn't Gabby and Brian's first cross-country road trip. They have done this before. July 26th, they stop at Mystic Hot Springs, where Gabby updates her followers, and she posts a photo of her in a bathing suit inside of a bathtub, which is kind of located on the side of a mountain. On July 30th, the couple is still in Utah, and they visit Canyonlands National Park Mesa Arch. They stay there for a while because on August 12th, Gabby posts more photos of her and Brian hiking the Arches National Park. August 12th, police get a phone call around 4:30 p.m. from a witness named Christopher stating that he overheard a couple arguing outside of the Moonflower Co-op, which is a natural food and deli store located in the center of the resort town of Moab. So this witness in his written statement says that Gabby appeared to be very hysterical. She was pushing Brian, and Brian had told her to go take a walk, chill, go, cool down. And this made Gabby more upset. This, of course, escalated the situation, and Brian eventually grabbed Gabby's face. The witness recalled that he was not entirely sure what he was seeing, but feared the worst, which is why he came forward and decided to call to make a report of the incident. By the time police arrive, Gabby and Brian are already back in the van and on the road. An officer spots the van that was described by the witness, and he attempts to pull the van over. But when he turns on the lights and he signals them to pull over, the van suddenly increases its speed, then suddenly veers off the road, hitting a curb before stopping. Well, there is police body cam footage that has been released to the public of this particular incident, which I will include some parts in this video. If you'd like to watch the full video, I will have the link in the description. It is a little over an hour. Now, the officers approached the passenger side of the van, which was the side that Gabby was seen on, and Brian was in the driver's seat. First to be noticed was Gabby, who was visibly crying and in distress. The officer tells Brian to put the vehicle in park and then tells him to turn off the vehicle and put the keys on the dashboard. He then asks them what their names are and asks what's going on. Gabby responds by saying that they've been fighting all day and that they are just having some personal issues. She also lets the officer know that they've been traveling for about 4 to 5 months, staying in their van, which being together 24/7 is what's causing them to argue so much. I'll show a little bit of that part of the clip here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and
okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just really stress. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I used to work at an organic juice bar, but I just hit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That's
okay.
That was my
That's
job.
cool.
After the officer kind of gets what's going on from Gabby, her side of the story, he tells her that she's not in trouble, just to sit in the back seat of his patrol car, catch a breath, and to relax. She then sits in the back of the car, and officers go and talk to Brian. I'll enter that part of the clip here.
Pretty intense, so the flies have definitely been getting to her, and then my feet are dirty and everything, so I think that our little squabble started because we were hanging out at the coffee shop, and when we got back to the van, there was some dirt and stuff in the van, and I moved our food around, so it was a little disorganized, so she gets a little...
Sorry about that.
We weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way on the block. There's that what is it called, Moonflower?
Right,
yeah. Nice areas. You can go.
So Brian tells his side of the story, which you just heard. He says Gabby slapped him with her phone in her hand, and that's why he has the scratches on his face. He also tells officers that he hit the curb because when Gabby realized they were being pulled over, Gabby grabbed the wheel, then hit him in his arm. When Gabby was asked if she did grab the wheel while he was driving, she denied doing so, but she did admit to hitting him. She said she was just frustrated and she felt that Brian wasn't listening to her. Gabby says that back at the Moonflower, Brian had locked Gabby out of the van. Now this made her feel angry and scared that he was going to leave her there. They both, to me, seem like they're belittling the situation. I think at this point, they're just nervous that the police are there and that they don't want to get in trouble or they don't want to be arrested. Brian claims that he and Gabby suffer from mental illnesses, but neither of them take medication for it. Now, this part of the video is silenced. You can hear Brian saying that, but then when he is telling officers what kind of mental illness, part of that is silence. I'm not sure if it was an accident or if it's just a coincidence or if it was purposely silenced for privacy reasons. But in Gabby's interview, you can hear her say that she has OCD and anxiety Not sure if that's what Brian was referring to. I'm not sure why they would silence his part out and not hers. I'm not quite sure. After the incident is heard by police, they decide that Gabby is the aggressor in this situation. Although Brian is bigger and stronger, that doesn't make him automatically guilty. He was the only one that had visible marks on his body. But they eventually decided not to charge Gabby with domestic violence due to her admitting that she did not have her intent was not to hurt Brian.
When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him?
No.
What were you attempting to do? What was the reason?
The officer also tells her, quote, "This charge at a young age could really be a pain in the butt in your future," end quote. And because Brian said he wasn't hurt and did not want to press charges, they decided the best thing to do in this situation is to make the couple separate for the night to cool off. Due to Brian being the victim in this incident, they put Brian up in a hotel for the night and Gabby was to stay in the camper van. They tell both Gabby and Brian to not be in contact throughout the night, just to totally have their own space and to just kind of calm down. August 13th, which is the following day, Brian and Gabby reunite. Things are a little bit better now that they've had some time apart. Gabby then updates her social media, sharing that they are in Moab, Utah. August 19th, they post their first 7-minute YouTube video titled "Beginning Our Van Journey." They also started posting both on TikTok and Instagram about their camper van journey, and I believe Gabby's following on Instagram. So it's hard to tell because as soon as I got the notification about this story, it wasn't really too known at the time, and I went to all of her social medias just, to be nosy. So from what I remember before this kind of blew up and she's now at thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, I must add, I believe she had about 3,500 on her Instagram and about 2,500 on her TikTok. And I remember seeing her YouTube subscribers, and I want to say that was about 1,500. Now, I could be wrong. I'm just trying to go off of my memory. So on August 21st, they head out to Salt Lake City, Utah, where they wanted to camp, but due to a power outage in Salt Lake City, they had to go to a hotel. When arriving, they decided to stay at the Fairfield Inn and Suites off Admiral Byrd Road, west of Salt Lake City Airport. The same night, Gabby's father ordered the couple food from Uber Eats after they lost Wi-Fi connectivity. They stayed at this hotel from the 21st to the 24th. On August 25th, Gabby speaks to her mother, sharing that she's at Grand Teton National Park. Teton National Park is located just north of Jackson, Wyoming. It is 31 miles from Yellowstone. It sits on 310,000 acres. Also, August 25th was the last time that Gabby or Brian updated their social media accounts. No more photos, videos, stories were posted anywhere on social media. In their YouTube channel, they only ever updated one video, which was 7 minutes long, on August 19th.
Both this couple from Spring Hill was visiting Grand Teton National Park on August 25th. That is the same day Gabby's mom says she last spoke with her daughter.
I feel so bad for this family.
When Shannan Baker from Spring Hill learned about the search for Gabby Petito, right away she says she recognized...
August 27th and also on August 30th, Gabby and her mother did speak to each other, but not on the phone. It was only through text messaging. Her mother will not release what these text messages consisted of to protect the investigation. But she did share that Gabby's last text message had said, It was a pretty simple message. It said, quote, "No service in Yosemite," end quote. Which she felt that this wasn't Gabby to be very short response like that. And that would mean that Gabby would be 800 miles from the hotel that she was last seen. Gabby's mother said, after not speaking to Gabby or texting her for 3 to 5 days, she wasn't at first concerned because she believed that maybe she was in an area that didn't have reception where she was, but admits that on day 6 to day 8, she started to get very worried because she would normally hear from Gabby at least 3 times minimum a week. She would normally be in contact with her through FaceTime or phone calls or text messages. She also says that Gabby would always share random photos with her, even if they didn't, say any words. Gabby would at least send photos and update her on her whole entire trip. September 11th, Gabby's mother, Nicole, reported her daughter, Gabby Petito, missing. Police start to investigate and they find Gabby's white van the same night that she was reported missing at the home she stayed with Brian and his parents. So the police knock on Brian's parents' door and they are met with Brian's parents, who only shared that Brian had returned with the van on September 1st, but Gabby was not with him, and that their son was not available to be spoke to. This same night, police seized Gabby's van and submitted it into evidence. They processed the vehicle for any forensic evidence, which no information has been released to the public, nothing regarding that search. They did mention that they found something they believe is evidence, but they have not stated what they have found, and it's not enough to charge Brian with any type of crime. September 13th, police go on the news and they release information to the public, letting everyone know that Gabby is missing and what her description is, and they also ask for tips or information leading to her whereabouts. September 14th, Brian retained a lawyer by the name of Stephen Bertolino. His lawyer releases a statement saying, quote, "Brian will remain in the background of the investigation," end quote. Also on September 14th, the Petito family's lawyer released a statement back to that, expressing how hard it is for their family not knowing where Gabby is. September 15th, Northport police named Brian Laundrie as a person of interest, describing him as uncooperative with the investigation. Same day, Brian's lawyer comes back with another written statement. This statement basically explains why he's advised Brian to remain silent, alleging a history of wrongful convictions by police and prosecutors in crimes centered on romantic partners, and ends the statement with letting them know he has been informed that police have named Brian as a person of interest in this matter, but says that that has not changed the circumstances and Brian will continue to remain silent on the advice of his counsel. So they are back and forth at this point. I mean, police, media outlets, everyone seems to be trying to get any type of information from Brian, and they aren't having any luck. I mean, when arriving at his family's home, all these people are met with Brian's parents, and they say the same thing, that Brian is not available at this time. Police have shared that Brian is confirmed to be at his parents' residence, but they have not been able to question him. There is no evidence that a crime has even taken place, so they cannot force Brian to speak with them. September 16th, which is today, Moab police released the body camera footage from the incident of them being pulled over, which I showed you guys a little bit of that in the video, and I'll remind you the full video will have a link in the bio. Also today, on September 16th, Chief Todd Garrison had a live press conference updating the public. All the information I have shared has all been pretty much referenced to in my video so far. Another detail that was released was that Gabby's cell phone is missing, and they do not believe it is in Brian's possession. I'm not sure how they know that since they haven't spoken to him, but they do. And they haven't said anything about tracking her phone or if her phone's off. They haven't released anything pertaining to her phone.
There's no doubt in my mind that she loves him, and I know that, and from how I've always seen it, he loves her. Of course, like any relationship, there was arguments, and she come stay at my house when there was arguments just to like get away from it, and I
remember any one particular incident that you were particularly upset about?
Yeah, well, we were supposed to go line dancing. It was ladies' night, and her drive is about 30 minutes to me, and halfway there she realized her ID was missing, and so it caused a really big argument because Brian just didn't want her to go out, and it was a jealousy issue, and it caused a huge argument between them, and I believe that their relationship, as they kept going on, was getting a little, problematic. I mean, just seemed like there was more and more arguments, and everything she did, I feel like, he thought was wrong, and even as she said in the body cam, he didn't even support her with her blog, which that's not what a fiance or boyfriend does.
There is no more information on Gabby's case. Gabby's stepfather, I know, flew out to help assist in the search for Gabby, and the Petito family and the police are asking for any information related to Gabby's whereabouts. If you think you have seen her or maybe Brian or the van at some point from August 25th to now, you might not think it's important information, but it really can be. I mean, it just takes that one piece of a puzzle to give to the police to solve the entire puzzle. Your information might be that one piece. I'm going to post some photos of the van. It is a white 2012 Ford Transit van. On the back of the van, it has a black ladder. So take a good look at these pictures, and if you think you have seen it again from August 25th, sometime to September 1st, call authorities and let them know. I will link all the information below for the numbers that you can call. Due to Brian not talking at all and sharing any type of information, Gabby's story is very strange. Soon as the story hit social media 3 days ago, it traveled nationwide within hours. I mean, everyone is just compelled to this story. They are literally refreshing pages, waiting to hear more updates. Unfortunately, with stories that get a lot of media coverage, and the more people that know about it, people start to create a lot of conspiracies as to what they think might have happened. Now, I don't normally say in my videos the theories that are out there or what people think, but I feel that I want to share this because this is something that everyone's talking about. The news isn't covering it. Now, that brings me to a quick story of a married couple, 24-year-old Kylen Scholl and 28-year-old Crystal Turner. The couple lived in Moab, Utah, and they were last seen leaving a bar called Woody's Tavern on Main Street on August 13th, which is the same night the incident between the police, Brian, and Gabby occurred. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. Crystal was an employee at the Moonflower store, the store that Gabby and Brian were seen arguing outside of. Kylen and Crystal were at a campsite camping in the mountains near their small town. During their camping trip, Kylen mentioned to another camper that, quote, a creepy man, end quote, was bothering them, and that they were even considering moving campsites. Kylen also mentions to this fellow camper that if anything were to happen to them, they were murdered. 5 days later, on August 18th, both women were found murdered. They were both found partially clothed, and each died of multiple gunshot wounds. This information was brought to my attention from the podcast I follow on Instagram called TrueCrimeSociety. Now, I absolutely love their content. They're constantly updating on cases. They're showing they give me a lot of ideas on what I want to cover. I'll tell you that. They have a podcast, and they also have an Instagram page. I will link their name below. I know they're on Facebook as well, True Crime Society. I highly recommend you guys all go follow them. I know there isn't many connections or anything solid to connect the murder and to Gabby's disappearance, but I think it's just so coincidental that a few days later, a woman who worked at the same store that Gabby and Brian were at ended up murdered around the same time that they were out there. I just think that's crazy. Like, that's just, I mean, what are the chances? This has also brought people to suggest that maybe Gabby and Brian were maybe separated at some point in time while camping. Maybe she went off to use the restroom and Brian maybe found her murdered. And he didn't want to report it because he was scared of how it would make him look, especially after the incident with the police. That's a theory that's going on online. I don't know. I just think that it doesn't make sense. Now, during an interview, when reporters asked police about the connection of Kylen and Crystal to Gabby's disappearance, police stated they are not ruling out any possible connection. I hate talking about other people's theories. I just like to put the information out there and not do the he said, she said, or theories. But I feel like it plays a big role in what's going on right now. So I felt like I needed to share that. Now, did they get into an argument and he left her and took the charger and maybe she just didn't have a phone? I'm feeling that Gabby is very close to her family, and even if she didn't have a charger for her phone and her phone was dead, I feel like she would have somehow made some type of connection to them, especially because it's been this long. Now, there is just no answers in this case, and my heart truly hurts for her family, the unknown, especially because the fiance, who's been with her almost 3 years now, has not given them any information. And I've actually never heard of a case like this, like where they have never even spoken to the person who is the person of interest. I've never seen anything like it. They do say when you're arrested, remain silent, but I mean, straight from the gate, he did not talk to officers or media or anyone. He's been completely silent. Brian has not posted anything on his social media, and it's just mind-boggling as to what could have happened. There's so many thoughts going through my mind as to where she could be. Is she alive? Did she need her own time? It's just sad. This brings me to the last theory. Again, I don't want to talk about theories, but I do want to share this one because, again, this is a plausible one in my eyes. Just sharing what I'm seeing online. People are thinking, what if this is a publicity stunt? So because there hasn't been a crime proven to have been committed and Brian has not said a single thing, there's no crime here. Gabby is an adult. She can disappear. I say this in almost all my videos that have missing people. You are an adult and you can disappear. You will not be in trouble. I actually seen on Disappeared, a woman, her family did not think that she would ever lose contact with them or her own biological son. She would never leave. Years later, they found her, and she started a whole new family, I think, in Oregon. And when they found her, she just said she wanted her space. She wanted to start a new life. So it does happen, and I'm not saying that this isn't possible, and I'm not trying to victim shame or in case something bad really did happen to her. I just want to share what I'm seeing online. Gabby did only have a few thousand followers, and after this has gone viral, she has hundreds of thousands of followers now. Her video has almost 1 million views. I mean, she definitely did blow up if that were to be what her plan was. I'm sorry, don't come for me. I'm just sharing the information and I'm sharing my thoughts. Really hope that's the best case scenario. I'd rather that happen, her come out and be like, hey, I'm okay, I just needed me time, instead of her coming up to have been murdered by anyone or her fiance. Sorry, I'm just saying. I wish that would happen instead of something worse. Gabrielle Petito is 22 years old. She is 5'5", blonde hair, blue eyes. She has a Let It Be tattoo on her right forearm and a tattoo of a triangle with flowers on her left arm. She is believed to have been in Grand Teton National Park at the time of her last connection with her family. If anyone has any information, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That number is 1-800-225-5324. Remember, any information could be the puzzle piece. The family has also set up a GoFundMe page, which has raised close to $47,000 to aid the search in finding Gabby. I will have the link to that below if you would like to donate to that.
Saying that they are not speaking with Brian at this time. It's unclear if Brian is inside this home, but we do know that the Laundrie family did call police here to finally sit down and talk with them. At this point in time, we believe there are about 4 officers inside the home that we've seen go in. I should mention that this is a family vehicle that we see the officers going into right now. This car has been parked in the driveway for the past 2 days. You can see they are opening the trunk of this vehicle right now. One of the investigators up front, one of the investigators in the trunk looking through this vehicle. I should also mention that maybe 10 minutes ago, one of the officers did go into the home with a couple of brown paper bags, which, you know, being at different scenes in the past, oftentimes to carry.
Brian Laundrie, the fiance of Gabby Petito, the person of interest in her disappearance, is officially missing. His whereabouts unknown at this time.
That is all that I have on the Gabby Petito story, and I will update you guys on my Instagram, KendraMOB, and also I will update my description below. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!